Hey everyone, and welcome to Comics from the Multiverse, the DC Comics podcast from MailFuzz TV. I am Peter, and thankfully, returning this week is Matt.
Now you know how I felt when Connor Kent came back.
Connor's here as well, I suppose.
Yeah, the real Connor.
Hashtag not all Connors.
Not all Connors are created equal.
Yeah. ER, not OR.
Oh dear. We talk about comics on this show. DC Comics specifically. Coming up on this week's show, we'll be talking about Batman 64, Justice League number 17, Young Justice 2, sorry. No, wait, did I say Justice League already? I confused myself.
This is
Batman,
a
Justice League, Young
shambles.
Justice.
I think putting Justice League and Young Justice back to back in the list has really upset my thought process here.
Well, put up somewhere else then.
Well, no, now that I've learned that, I'll do that in the future. But yeah, so Justice League 17, Young Justice issue 2, Green Lantern issue 4, Green Arrow 49, Adventures of the Super Sons number 7, and Female Furies number 1, start of a new mini. That is the books we'll be talking about this week. So you can look forward to that over the course of the show. So that's what's happening. Look, it's alright. You can have a shambles here or there. Little shambles.
We're not even 2 minutes in yet and we're at shambles.
Shut up. We're here to talk about DC Comics. Matt is back. Matt was missing last week. I'm sure we had a couple of questions for him based on his scores, because he gave us all his scores and we were rating things as going. There was a couple of them we went, wait, Matt gave it what? And not necessarily in a bad way necessarily. It was kind of back and forth.
We just need you to
shoot.
justify some things to us.
Okay, shoot.
We'll get to those in a minute.
Yes.
We'll do any news bits first.
News bits, okay. Not real news per se this week, although a certain person on Twitter was teasing something. Where's my button?
Yeah. There he is.
Tom Taylor.
So yes, Tom Taylor is teasing that he's got a big book announcement coming. There was a chance it was going to be Friday, because he said Friday or Monday, but then it got to Friday and he said, no, it's definitely Monday. So it may not be a DC book, but...
All I'm saying is, better be Nightwing.
Well, not if it's still Rick Grayson.
He can make me read Rick Grayson and care.
I don't know.
No.
If anyone can, it's him.
Hey, there's going to be a book that we talk about later that made me very angry because of things DC has done.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it revolves around Rick Grayson. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no idea what he's on about.
Yeah, I have no idea what he's on about either. I'm trying to think of it. I have a very loose thing in something, but I mean, well... No, I know what it is. I know what it is. I know exactly what it is.
Do I know what it is?
You should know what it is. You're a
Okay,
fool.
so it's in one of the ones I read.
You're sitting there like an idiot, not knowing this. How dare you?
Okay.
How stupid
No,
are
I
you?
know. I do know.
Ridiculous ginger.
So I saw a guy at the gym this morning with a knife just hanging off a belt. He was lifting in like dicky pants. So and I just thought that's the type of person that Pete is. He has had his knife ready to go for Connor. Like, never know.
Sorry, but this is assuming that you would ever see Pete in a gym.
No, I'm just saying he's the type of person that has the knife at the gym because you never know. That's what he does with his words though, because you never know when he's going to have to put you down.
I'll take that compliment.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of news. Other than that, I mean, I guess we should talk about the Trench movie that just got announced is in development.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to spin off and do like genre stuff within a genre, I think that's cool.
I mean, if you in a vacuum, you tell me, okay, there's going to be a horror movie about the Trench. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that sounds fine. Fish Monsters horror movie.
Yeah, it's like The Abyss but horror.
Sounds good to me, right? I'm cool with that. I think my cynicism here comes from the fact that Warner Brothers have announced so many DC movies, but this one in particular, because it's clearly just happening because Aquaman made $1 billion. It made more than all the other DC movies. Oh shit!
We need more of that.
We need more Aqua-related movies.
Yeah.
Quickly.
That was a problem. So fun story. I listened to a podcast called Bizarre States with Jessica Chobot, and they were gifted a haunted mirror from somebody, and they brought it into the office, and they share offices with DC in Burbank. And the guy that they gave it to, who didn't believe in that type of stuff, had like the worst 2 days of his life. So he blamed the mirror and then gifted it to DC. And this was around the time Batman vs. Superman had come out, right? So Chobot fully believes like it was the haunted mirror, because once they got rid of the haunted mirror in the offices, Aquaman came out and made all the money, right? So, which you look at that series event, you're like, oh, I could see Haunted Mirror. But then they announce a Trench movie, and you're kind of like, oh no, these are the same decisions that led to Batman vs Superman. So
I like how
you know,
just even for like a couple of weeks, Matt was like, "Yeah, Haunted Mirror. This is completely plausible."
yes, I mean, when
it's
Superman's involved on the screen, I will believe anything.
it feels like a rush to do things, I guess, more than anything else. Not so much that a Trench movie's, you know, a bad idea on its own.
Like,
I'm
we don't even have a Trench miniseries, right? Like,
yeah, we never actually have had that. I mean, if someone's got an idea, then great. But it's hard not to be cynical given Warner Brothers and what their recent, few years have been.
Though. I mean, I liked Aquaman more than you two did. And if it's James Wan's involved and he's known for horror,
He's
I could
probably
definitely
not.
see it. Well, I mean, even on a production level, or if he's going to work on the script or whatever, like he's probably not going to direct. But yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was. I mean, it's funny because we're also getting a hard R-rated Alfred prequel or not even miniseries. We have hard R Alfred prequel series this summer.
Is it hard R?
Yeah, there was an article this week about it. They're going hard R with this.
Which makes me think Kingsman, right? Like Kingsman Alfred.
This series is like conceptually was weird, and then there are hints that it's related to the Gotham universe because they keep talking about, oh, we're not going to do any of the stuff they did in Gotham, and we're not using any of those villains because they've already done that. And I'm like, is this supposed to be a prequel to that show? And then you've got Paloma Faith as the villain. I'm like, what the hell is this?
From what I heard, the villain is going to be the grandkids of Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, there was a thing about Jack the Ripper. Yeah.
Like, so I get that you want to like add Alfred's name to things, but why couldn't this just be a movie? Because if you have like proper English gentlemen versus Jack the Ripper's grandkids, I'm there.
Of course you are.
And then you make it Alfred. I'm kind of like, what's this have to do with that, man? We're is this the universe at all?
It feels so cheap and tacky because they've got a completely standalone idea. They're just shoving some Batman names into to try and sell it easier. That's basically
me and
all
Pete
it
are
is.
gonna tear this down come summer.
Who knows? Maybe I'll be surprised. Maybe it'll be like have nothing to do with Batman.
It'll crypt on us.
Yeah, but maybe it'll just be good for what it is. Maybe it'll just be a good show about a guy fighting Jack the Ripper's grandkids. I mean, you never know.
But they're not going to avoid it. It's going to be constantly, oh, look, it's Alfred.
Yeah.
Did we talk about the Birds of Prey footage? Did I miss that last week?
No, we never actually did, really. No.
I didn't really bother because it was like 20 seconds of some...
No.
Those are quick glimpses of things.
But yeah, but it seems like we're just getting scattershot DC stuff. Like, kind of what I wanted them to do at the beginning where stuff really isn't connected anymore. It's just they're standalone. Because you have that Joker movie, which might not be a Joker movie now. Like,
it's definitely... I mean, the Joker movie's definitely out of continuity. That's separate.
Yeah.
Whereas everything else is still in the same world, theoretically.
Yeah.
Except we're doing a new Batman movie without Affleck. Like that, which is pretty much confirmed now.
No, it is confirmed. Yeah. It's not pretty much, it is confirmed.
Yeah, Matt Reeves has been talking about that since he got announced for it, that Affleck probably wasn't coming back. Like, they were in talks with him.
They confirmed it last week. Affleck's out. Yeah, he's definitely gone.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, that's probably not continuity now.
Which I'm okay with, because, again, I can read comics that aren't, all connected, that are standalone.
No, I'm saying this is a good thing. Throw the shared universe out the window. Just do standalone films. Shazam's not going to be connected, I don't think.
From what I hear, it is, but not in the way that you think. So, there
was definitely like Batman and Superman symbols in the trailer. It's definitely existing in the world.
I believe Batman and Superman may exist in some form, or at least I don't think it's the BVS versions.
No.
I don't think they'll say it as it isn't. I think it'll be left so that it can be, but they won't necessarily do it.
And when you say, there were those symbols in there, I can't remember them in the trailer. Were they just like...
There's a Batman...
No, it's Batman's symbol from BVS. It's the exact symbol.
Right, okay.
Which is also the Dark Knight Returns symbol, though, too, which looks dope. Like, I can't fault them for using it.
It's not my favorite.
That was never a problem with the movie, though.
It's not my favorite.
The design of Batman was never a problem.
No.
Yours were too short.
Sure, but that's just taste, right? It wasn't a bad suit.
It was a bit too bulky for my liking. It felt like it was kind of hulking around a bit.
Which is kind of the Miller version of Batman.
Yeah.
Right? He's big and bulky. So, Either way,
This
I'm
feels
just
like taste rather than like, oh no, it's doing something wrong.
yeah. That wasn't on my top 25 of what was wrong with that movie.
Well, it wasn't in my top
It was the
25 of what
ears.
was wrong with that movie either, but this has been I liked it.
You know.
There's a lot of things wrong with that movie.
Hey, wait, Pete. How many times have you seen it?
Once.
I'm stupid and I've seen it twice because I haven't watched the director's cut. So, hooey.
I'm grateful that we've run out of time to fit that in next month.
That's true. That's true. We're doing a lot of Batman movies for Influx over the course of March for Detective 1000.
Did you
He
guys
was
do
like,
the
well,
animated?
No.
Nah, not for this. But we've done some of the animated movies in the past.
Yeah, no.
I'm talking
He was
about,
like,
like,
oh, at the end we'll do BVS extended edition. I went, I don't think so. It's
Yeah.
like, well, we'll fit it in. And now we've just kind of run out of time.
No, we
It's
don't.
not happening.
Did you guys do Mask of the Phantasm?
Not as of yet, but we're doing the animated
Okay.
series gradually on television for the multiverse. So eventually
Okay.
we'll do that at the end of that. I think.
Gotcha. Cool.
Yeah.
'Cause, that's what I need. Have they released that on Blue yet?
They have.
Yeah. Yeah, a while ago.
Okay.
It's in the box set with the show.
Yes, it
well,
is.
I don't want the box set. I just want the.
Well, you
That's
should get
Ben's.
the box set because the box set is excellent.
I'm sure, Connor, but still, monies.
Just
I got to pay.
screw
I got
the
to pay
monies.
for a house. No.
Who needs a
We're going-
house? Just live under the
Yeah.
Batman box set.
Young listeners, don't grow up. Stay young forever.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying. Responsibilities suck.
But yeah, Birds of Prey. Without even talking about it, you went on a tangent there for some stupid reason.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm just saying, like, it feels like, yeah, sure, Margot Robbie is that version of Harley Quinn, but it feels so detached from everything else we've seen. Like, it doesn't feel like that's the same universe as Aquaman.
Do you know what's
You
funny?
know?
I was just complaining a couple of weeks ago that there's not enough like proper teaser trailers anymore because Ghostbusters had like a proper like here's an announcement just to say this exists and we're not even shot it yet, right? And I think it's funny that just a couple of weeks after that, this Birds of Prey thing comes out, and I'm of two minds about this one because I don't know if this was the best first glimpse of these characters because it kind of felt like they were in just street clothes and it was like. This feels like a costume and makeup test that they just happened to film and thought we'll just edit it together and put it a thing.
I think I'm not too bothered about the street clothes versus costume. If that's what this movie is, fine, I'm okay with that. As a tone, like it had a tone to this teaser, like it had a mood. I'm like, okay, that's giving me something without giving me anything else. It's giving me something.
Who's directing this?
Oh, I can't remember her name.
I don't remember. But it's definitely someone that hasn't been touched by the DCEU.
But it looks
right?
like it has its own sense of style and it's doing its own thing compared to just the blandness that a lot.
No,
of
I
them
mean it does. I don't know if it's necessarily the style that I associate with Birds of Prey, but I mean we'll see what it does. I mean I'm still solid. There's no Babs. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna get over that.
That's a fair gripe. I get that.
I'm over that already.
I was doing Superman without Lois Lane, or
I don't think it is.
it kind of is.
It's
all
not.
I know is I get Mary Elizabeth.
Okay, fair enough, Connor. You're right.
Selena.
It's like doing Superman without Superman.
It's definitely
No, it's more
not
like doing
it.
Justice League without Superman. Oh wait.
Well, no, he showed up eventually.
So it's directed by Kathy Yan, who
There you go. That's all.
I'm looking.
Yeah,
my
I
computer's
don't
being slow.
think I was familiar with any of her works last time we spoke about it.
No, I'm looking. Done some shorts. She produced a movie called Dinosaur Rider, which I need to see.
Of course, you do.
Yeah, of course I do. So, yeah,
It's
I don't
a
know.
matte title of a movie.
It is. If that was a profession when I was younger, that's what I would have aimed for. Dinosaur Rider.
I like how you said that as if it was a profession now, but it's too late for you to get into it.
I think just go back to the street clothes thing. I think what bugged me about it is it was Huntress specifically who's just wearing like a hoodie, and I'm like,
Yeah.
if he's going to be a street clothes, just be a street clothes. Don't do this thing where it's kind of becoming the costume. Like it's like Raven and Titan. She has the hood, like her hoodie has the pointed thing, and I'm like, no, you do street clothes or you do the costume. You don't do this weird like thing where like the street clothes are kind of becoming the costume.
Raven's hoodie, it was just it was a licensed Assassin's Creed hoodie.
Shut up.
Just happened to be.
Shut up.
One of my friends told me I need to just watch the last 3 episodes of Titans. Don't bother with the rest of it. So I don't know.
I know. 'cause-
Basically, no. Watch up to Doom Patrol and then stop. That's
No,
my
there's
advice.
one or two fun ones in the middle. I don't know if I agree with the last few. And I think you have to watch the Jason Todd episode just to bask in how accurate they got the character, because you want to kill him with the crowbar as soon as you meet him, and it's like, yes, they nailed this character.
I do need to sign up for this DC service, especially when I heard there's comics on it. You know,
they just added a bunch more, so I mean, it's getting better.
Young Justice is great.
Young Justice is great, and Doom Patrol's looking good. There was a teaser for Doom Patrol this week, and it's looking kind of nifty.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Look forward to
I'm usually down with whatever Alan Tudyk does.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Peter just got my pick for Overload.
Oh, really? What's your pick? Announce it in the show. Go on.
So now we're going to do a Knight's Tale. Starring Heath Ledger.
Well, no, it'll be in the vote. We may do a Knight's Tale, depending on what patrons vote for.
That's my pick.
Okay, that's your pick for the next vote. All right.
There we go.
What's Pete throwing against that?
I don't know yet. I'll think about it.
Oh, come on.
See, this is the odds I have to come up against, like John Cena every time. That's a bad analogy because he always wins. Is I get to do a pick, Connor, and then Pete decides a pick after I've made a pick. So he gets a bead, you know?
Just to be fair, Pete should announce the competitor here and now against... Matt's just come up with it spur of the moment. Pete should as well.
I don't have one spur of the moment.
That was spur of the moment. It just popped into his head.
I didn't say it was. I said I don't have one spur of the moment.
Well, think of one.
It's got Paul Bettany as Geoffrey Chaucer. Oh, man, this is a good pick. I haven't watched it in a while.
I've not seen a Knight's Tale.
If Pete doesn't come up with one in the next, 10 minutes, I'm campaigning for Matt to win this month.
This might not work out, though, Connor, because it might end up not... 14-year-old me might have loved it real hard. And 33-year-old me is kind of like, man, you're dumb. That happens a lot.
But you'll find out soon enough.
Maybe I do an absurd counter pick.
Oh, where's he going with it?
I threw in Twister and he threw in Speed.
Yeah.
So they were the same director, same era, but wildly different movies. So, you know.
Hey, it worked. I won that month.
Yeah.
It worked.
Is he off to find a movie?
Yeah, I think so.
It's that or it's Cats.
He's so good because,
it's Cats.
You go look at what Tudyk's been doing with Disney, and, there's voice acting, and then there's what he does, where he becomes
the last 5 Disney movies, and he's great in all of them.
Yeah, and they're all different. You're never like, oh, that's Alan Tudyk, unless you know. So, in Frozen, he was Duke Weaselton.
Yes, he's a great voice actor. He was Green Arrow for a while, right?
I think so.
Did he do Injustice and some other stuff? I think that was him.
I think so. But yeah, he's all over. I mean, he's my favorite character on Firefly. So
there was a leaf in the wind, Matt.
I know. How does Joss Whedon wash his? Or I just ruined the joke. He washes it, and then there's that image from Serenity, and it kills me every time.
Joss Whedon, you say? You mean the creator of the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Thanks, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
So
easy. Do that for Matt.
So easy.
I know.
It's so easy.
So Matt, do you want to defend some of your stuff from last week?
Go ahead.
We got one bit kind of news I want to mention.
Oh, there's more news.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to mention Gail Simone sparked a war on Twitter the last couple of days.
Well, hang on. I know the one you're on about. It's the wrong war that you're concerned about, because she has started a whole thing about tea that, frankly, she has finally crossed the line.
Oh no, that's fine. I don't care about any of that.
Wait, I need to know about the tea now, because I think the way Connor drinks tea is just terrible. So
she is spreading filthy, dirty lies that the Brits make their tea using a microwave, and I will not stand for it. This is slanderous.
Can I say one of my favorite Mario moments was calling you stupid for not using a microwave?
Do you know what? No, I'm just going to say it. It's a well-kept secret, but Gail's right. British people use a microwave to make their tea.
So
Pete's never made a cup of tea in his life.
I have to.
When I make tea,
I do it twice a year, but I do.
I have a tea kettle. I use a tea kettle and tea bags. I do have some loose leaf, but I haven't broken into that yet because I can't. Since the move, I can't find my tea infuser. So
need that strainer.
Yeah. But yeah, I use a tea kettle. So
the proper way. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Gail pushes a lot of people's buttons on Twitter. And usually I'm okay with it.
But the more interesting thing though is she started this war where she's trying to get fast food places to pick a comic publisher that thinks the best. We've got various. I think.
whoever runs Wendy's Twitter
Knows
is
that
like
shit.
all timer because they've done this with wrestling too. Like they've openly talked trash and started wrestling feuds on the internet by doing the same kind of thing. So they're brilliant.
Yes, but it oddly culminated in a photo just earlier today, I think it was, where
It was yesterday.
Was it
Just
yesterday?
before I went to bed.
yeah, it was Dan Didio and Jim Lee in the DC office. It was Didio had a Burger King, he had the crown in his head,
Yep.
and then Jim Lee was eating a McDonald's.
Yeah, just when I think I like cursing at Didio, I see him with the paper crown on, and I'm like, how do I hate this man? He looks like Jughead, like 40 years from now.
Oh dear.
Yeah, and Lee's eating McDonald's. He's got a Big Mac and the McDonald's cup shown prominently, and
Yes.
that's the type of stuff I love. Like,
I saw on the Wendy's account, you know, they went, oh, Marvel, and someone went, oh, you'll just say that, you're just jumping on the bandwagon because of the movies, and the person on the account went, oh, you want to go there? Let's do this.
but you get,
And they were like, look, here's all this shit I've read and like, and I was like, okay, shut up.
yeah, if that's your preference and you can defend it, awesome. Like, I will talk to you. But if it's just because of the movies, I run into this a lot with kids I work with when they find out I like DC. They're like, yo, those movies suck. And I was like, you're correct.
Yeah, I know.
But let me tell you why I love DC.
Listen,
You know,
round children, gather around the campfire. Old man Matt's going to tell you a tale of the infinite crisis.
Yeah, there's an infinite crisis, and there's a crisis on infinite Earths. And then they get confused and stop listening. And then the principal comes and is like, leave them alone. They don't need to hear this.
There's a crisis on the horizon. All right. All right.
I think
Well,
Matt should just go around his school and change all the light bulbs to red lights. Just be like,
How do you know I
"Crisis,
haven't?"
what's all
the
we do?"
red skies are coming. All right. What was the things we wanted to ask Matt about from last week before we
Yeah.
get to this week's books?
Ask me.
So, have you got the scores that he gave you in front of you?
I
'Cause,
can get them.
Yeah, I have them. Not
Okay.
saved. Wait, what's that hockey score?
Going
Oh, boy.
from memory, I feel like he gave Justice League Odyssey a relatively reasonable score, and me and Pete were both not too hot on this issue.
Let me defend myself by saying I was half asleep when I read it.
Oh, pardon me. I just
That
bumped out the
probably
mic.
helped. Yeah,
Yeah, I gave it a 7.
shambles.
I know.
I gave it a 7.
I always hold them
I
back,
read-
but that slipped out. I just slipped out.
Yeah, so which I mean, I suppose on the Matt scale, the 7's quite low.
Yeah, but you gave a lot of things a 7 last week. I was
Yeah.
debating that he had a really bad week because it was all 7s and 7.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't sure if you had a really bad week or just when you were having time to think about it and you were writing them down this way, if you were more reasonable.
Oh yeah, his
That's
Detective
probably it.
Comics score was a little bit in the harsh side, 5.5.
Well, it was, because that issue sucked.
For-
I
for-
hated that issue.
For a Matt score, 5.5 is pretty.
Which
Yeah.
actually, that reminds me, Matt, you said on Twitter that there was an art thing that took you out of it in Detective Comics.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What was it?
So Batman uses his stupid ear things as a projectile,
Oh, car
and
blast
they're
up.
gone. And then you turn the page, like, and they're back, and there's no...
No,
Matt,
no, there is.
No,
There's-
he's got it in his
there is-
hand.
there-
He grabs
is
it
a
the page before.
Yeah, I think there is a problem. There is a bit where he shoots it into the shark, whatever it is, and then you see
Yeah.
a panel where he grabs it and it's in his hand, and then the next panel, it's when they're going up the chute to escape. It's just back on his cowl, like
Yeah.
it's reattached.
But they
all
show
of
him
a
grabbing it, which is more than I would have thought they'd have done. So you know what? I'll
Yeah.
give him some
But
credit.
it's
So
easy
I
in
didn't
his
see
hand.
that. I didn't see that, but it took me out. And then all the other things, I'm just like, Tomasi, what are you doing, man? Like, this... There's because Batman, and then there was that issue, and I'm just like, ugh.
You were kind of in the middle with Justice League, because Clara was giving that like a 9. I gave it like a 6.5. You were...
The annual?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were at a 7.5.
I really like that story. But it played to my strengths, the whole secret histories thing and whatnot.
Yeah,
I like
Pete
that.
thought it got just way too exposition-y and kind of hated it at points.
Yeah,
because of that.
which I understand, but I liked
Yeah.
what was in that exposition. It was a lot like we disagreed too on the Hawk issue of Justice League when they were on Thanagar Prime. It was along the same lines. Really loved Wonder Woman, but that goes without saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that and
I
Flash
think we do
Annual
either.
were the
The Flash Annual.
standouts.
Heroes in Crisis. While there were some good beats in there, I still feel the story is it's not giving us enough. Like
Yeah,
just
that was
getting
a lot of where we came down was there's a great reveal in terms of the story finally, but we're halfway through and we're only just getting to that.
Yeah, Exactly. And although I do love that opening page with Booster and in blue just kind of sitting in a bachelor pad, like, I thought that was cool. And like the tone's really set. But as for this mystery, like Connor said, we're half through, and I don't feel like we know any more than from issue 2. You know, like it's just slowly trudging along. What else? What else?
Just Justice League Odyssey. Me and Pete were not big on. We kind of felt like it's kind of lost the direction. It was just like it just kind of goes through the motions.
I think that's my last issue. I think I don't need it anymore. Yeah.
You rated it higher than both of us, but you're dropping it.
Yeah, because I said this as well. Because obviously it's Abnett next issue, and I went. I don't even know if I need it.
It went from being one of my most like anticipated. Oh my god, New Justice! Like this is gonna be awesome.
I'll try out this next issue, but like
it doesn't.
Like I said last week, though, this is the sort of book that's on this sort of fringe where if we weren't doing the show, I'd probably not motivate myself to read it.
Yeah, if I had to choose between that and Titans, I would take Titans in a heartbeat. Like, save one.
Sadly, so would I. Although Jessica Cruz could join Titans, just so we could still have Jessica Cruz.
Yeah, get rid of
Kyle.
Yeah.
Well, no, Kyle can stay as well.
Addition by subtraction.
They're my two favorite lanterns, so they can be together. It's fine.
But yeah, no, JLO was, oh man, I want to love it because of Cyborg, not Cyborg.
Also,
Matt, Starfire.
Matt almost went into my diplomatic immunity voice there when he went addition by subtraction. He almost did it.
He did, didn't he?
But so,
diplomatic immunity.
The Flash annual made me feel things.
Mm-hmm.
But, and they both, so it came down to my moment of the week came down to Wally. And I legit fist pumped when Booster says what he says at the end of that. And it could be total nonsense, judging by what I read later in this week. So, you know, but it came down to that and the Iris scene in the Flash annual. Because like that, oof, man.
Oh yeah, Iris scene was great. Anyway, so let's talk about this week's books then. So we've got this week's books. So first up this week we have Batman 64, which is actually the start of the crossover that Joshua Williamson's writing. So it's Joshua Williamson writing with Guillem March, unfortunately, on art. So
I will say this was better than the last Guillem March art that we were subjected to in Justice League.
I will agree to that. However, there's at least one. There's one page that stuck out to me more. There's a panel of the Flash like standing like full body. And his shoulders and like his stance was just like, what's this proportion? What's happening here?
I hate every time he draws Batman. What is this hunched over with the neck thing that he does with Batman all the time?
Batman's a gargoyle.
I hate it. It is technically better than when he was on that Justice League issue. But I hate it.
What's weird about this is like we know that Williamson and King are working together a lot. Like they're two of these modern architects of the DCU. And it just feels to me like he's understanding emotion on a different level than King right now with this story, because I'm getting more out of this crossover from Fallout, from Heroes in Crisis than I am in Heroes in Crisis, you know, and I want to chalk that up that it's Williamson and not King.
Well, I mean, like, you've got the Flash angle to base this on as well, so you do have some.
That too. Yeah, that too.
Just to give it the worst art issue at the moment, so I can get out of the way, is the double page spread with the Flash Museum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wally's leg that's running forward. The big statue. Holy shit! It's awful. Like, I don't understand how you get that bad for a statue.
It's a really big thigh.
It's huge.
It's a really big thigh. I don't even know what to say other than that.
What's going on with his chest? Like, his shoulder? Like, what? None of it makes any sense to me.
No, it's just when Flash catches the Batarangs and there's the following page, he's just sort of holding them there. His stance, like his shoulders, he looks like he's wearing like the American football shoulder pad thing, the big.
Yeah, he does. And he's got really skinny knees.
Yeah, it looks like he's wearing that under his suit somehow.
I will say, if you go back a page, look at Batman's face as he's throwing the Batarangs. It's just comical.
He looks like a bird. He looks like Hawk from Hawk and Dove. Almost.
Oof. That's the worst thing you could ever say, Pete.
I'm not gonna lie. I struggled with this issue, even though I think the writing is perfectly good.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of ideas in here I like. I really struggled to get through this art. Like, it
I wasn't that bad.
This took me more than twice as long as a usual issue.
No, I mean I can still get through a book like this because if the writing's good. The art is garbage though. I will happily say that.
Yeah. No, I just we've been over this. I can't do it. I can't get over books with the art's this bad.
Obviously, the flashback with Wally and Dick.
Yeah, that's what I was alluding to earlier. Where I'm just like, you a-holes took one of my favorite things with Wally and Dick, and have completely ruined both characters. So thanks, DC.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So the big reveal in this, obviously, there's a little tease that Batman's been doing autopsies and whatnot, and Wally and so on and so on. And obviously, I still think the whole like his body's 5 days older than it should be. He's still going to be a factor. But here's the thing. So the end of this actually does tie into the ongoing Batman run as well as what's happening with Flashes from Heroes in Crisis, because it turns out there's an attack on the central city, the Flash Museum, and it turns out that it's Gotham Girl, right? And I'm like, okay, this is interesting. They're bringing this in, the fact that she's working with Bane, she's up to stuff, and I'm okay. So was it just me, or did Guillem March draw her more like Harley Quinn? Like I'm thinking of these panels where she's like skipping.
It is. It's all in the body language.
She's skipping towards the camera, as it were, and smiling as she's.
Which the last time we've seen her, she was very dour, right?
Not counting her appearance with Bane. The last time I remember her properly was at the end of that first arc, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, it was no.
We've seen her with Duke.
Yeah, with Duke. That's what I'm thinking.
No. The last time we seen her, I think, was with Batman when he was deciding to propose.
Was it?
I think so. Remember, it was all up in the big spire at the top of the Gotham, and he was talking to Gotham Girl about what he wants in life and things like that.
I'll have to go back and look.
That was a bit later, I'm sure. I'm sure that was later than.
Fair enough. I don't remember when that was. I just remember the stuff like setting up her relationship with Duke, which. Yeah. Obviously, we never touched on again.
Duke's got a box, Matt. He plays music on it.
Wait, what?
He said Duke, not Duke.
He's mocking my accents.
Gotcha.
Multiple accents?
I thought I missed something.
That was a singular accent.
I'm sure you said accents.
Anyways, does this just feel like an afterthought? Like, so we knew that there was going to have to be this break, and now I just feel like King realized he hasn't planned anything for Gotham Girl since, and so he told Williamson, like, "Hey,
do you want to take this one?
Do something." Yeah,
I think he probably, like, when they first thought that he was going to co-write this or whatever, I'm sure this was still going to play into, because given that King's writing Heroes in Crisis, I feel like he probably did have this relatively planned. If anything,
I can tell from Batman in it, because this is the. I like seeing how, not detached, but how affected by everything Batman is, because he's he's mentally not there, which is not him.
Yeah, he's missing things. Yeah, he's at a low point here in this book.
Something that bothers me a little bit in terms of his release schedule is, so obviously this is all set before Nightmares.
Yeah.
Why didn't we just release it before Nightmares?
I think it has to do with that's what I'm saying. I'm saying like maybe thinking this isn't the original plan. Like this is called on the fly. You know what I mean?
Like, I mean, unless in the last couple of issues we get into stuff that is playing off of what we learned in the last issue of Heroes in Crisis.
Yeah.
If anything, it's probably going to tie into Heroes in Crisis a bit more, and that's why it has to be here. So I don't think it's necessarily something on the fly. I feel like this is probably the plan. I don't think the plan was for Williamson to write this all himself.
No.
I think King was originally supposed to write some of it, but instead, this is what they're doing. I feel like this is what the plan was for Gotham Girl. I think, and this is mainly the art, this does not match any way that Gotham Girl has ever presented herself, ever. Like, it doesn't feel like her demeanor. It doesn't feel how she talks. It doesn't feel how she...
I think it's in the writing as well, to be fair. Like, that panel at the end where she's skipping in, it's like, oh, the Flash is involved now. It's really jovial and excited about it. And
yeah. That said, we could learn about what she's been up to, and it's completely broken her.
Yeah, I mean...
You know what I mean?
This could be intentional. This is the only time, though, it feels like more like a King thing, where it's intentionally making you go, wait, this isn't right. What's going on here? Because King likes to do that. So I feel like I can still feel his plotting kind of seeping in here a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but no, I love the relationship between Bruce and Barry. I kept wanting to say Wally, and that's just because my brain. He's my Flash, but yeah, the relationship that's there, and then you get that flashback of the two boys, and like how they've, they're best friends. So it's kind of like when your kids are friends, you got to kind of be friends with with the other parent. I like that. And then all that they went through with the button, and now they're at this point, and Bruce holds himself responsible for Wally because, this was amongst his idea, and he kind of talked Barry into having him go there, so I'm liking all of that stuff.
Yeah, but both Bruce and Barry are being a little unlike themselves, and the Justice League.
Yeah.
That's kind of the purpose of having that scene with the Justice League at the start, is that all of them are kind of noticing that they're not quite being themselves, and obviously tensions are kind of high. The ending, of course, is that Gotham Girl actually has her brother Gotham kind of strapped up to medical equipment in the hopes that she's going to revive him.
It looks like Venom.
It does.
Yeah, I
it
thought
does.
it was Venom.
Yeah, it looks like Venom.
So, which is cool. Real quick, I want to go back to those Justice League pages and proof that me and Guy Gardner are basically the same person. There's a breakfast burrito place that John knows about because Guy never shuts up about it, and that's me. That's what I had for breakfast this morning. Breakfast burrito.
Of
I don't think I've ever had a breakfast burrito.
You're missing out, bro.
What would one get in a breakfast burrito?
Scrambled eggs, potatoes, a breakfast meat of your choice, so ham, bacon, sausage, sometimes carne asada, depending on the place. And they wrap it up in a tortilla, and you throw some hot sauce in there. Oh, I love it.
This sounds like something I could get into.
Yeah.
No, there's egg in it. I can't do it.
I assume Taco Bell will provide one of these.
Yeah, those aren't as good. I don't know where you would get them because your guys' Mexican food's more formal, I guess. You don't have taquerias on the corner like we do.
Taco Bell will have to do.
Yeah, theirs is like the quick version. Like, yeah, you'll get egg and cheese in there, a breakfast meat,
Yeah.
But yeah, love them. But yeah, so Guy, knowing a great breakfast burrito place, of course.
Yeah. I mean, I like what the story's doing for the most part here. I like that it did bring Gotham Girl back, even if she feels a bit off at the end here. But hopefully the next few issues will shed light in where she is. And,
I've been reading Williamson for the better part of 4 or 5 years now, because I was introduced to him through Birthright and Nailbiter, and then he jumped over for Rebirth. And this is the type of thing that he does, is he writes for the long story, kind of like John used to. So things don't feel right, but there's always a purpose for it. I could be completely wrong, and it could not all add up, but this is what I come to expect.
Well, the weird thing here is, though, it's not all on him if it doesn't add up. It's this weird thing where
True.
It's weird where King's name's not on the comic.
Right.
But you know that there's
we
plot
still
in here.
hold him relatively responsible for whatever's happening.
Yeah, this is still... Not only is it clearly probably still plotted by him in some way, it's still tying into his Batman run and his event series, Heroes in Crisis. So much of this is dictated by what he's doing anyway that, like, it's naturally still on him as well.
Yeah.
But that's not to say that I have low hopes for it. I actually think this story might be perfectly good. I think this issue is full of nice moments. It's just unfortunate the art is ruining most of it.
Yeah.
Because the art's really bad.
Yeah.
Guillem Archie's proportions are all over the place. Faces are...
And it's saying a lot that, like Matt said, this is the better Guillem Arch that we've seen recently.
Yeah.
Yes, it's the better Guillem Arch, but it's not good.
It's what I really hate about Guillem. There's something beyond the proportions and all that stuff. It's the ridiculously heavy crosshatch shading, and all the crazy ink lines that I feel like he might do his own inks. I don't know, or if he has this, if it's a ink pairing that he always has with him, but it's really bad.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're giving
He does his own
Batman
inks. It's
64.
fine. I'm blaming him.
Say that again.
I said he does his own inks, so it's fine.
Okay.
I can blame him.
All right, we're rating Batman then. Matt, what are you giving it?
So I enjoyed the story, but like you guys are in the art, so I'm gonna give it a 7.
All right, Connor.
I can't go higher than a 5 when I struggled to read it this much with the art. Even though I like a lot of the ideas and stuff that's in there.
Yeah, I like the story. Gotham Girl feeling off though, personality-wise at the end, which might be fine once we get like more of an idea of where she's been. But she did feel like Harley Quinn more than she did Gotham Girl. But yeah, I'll go with a 6 because I like the story, but the art is dragging it down somewhat. Like, if this had good art, it'd probably be like an 8, but, you know, points deducted. Alright, we'll go on then to Justice League number 17, Scott Snyder writing, Jim Cheung on the art. Oh, Cheung did the whole issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's very consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah, whether you like that or not, it all feels consistently one-artist.
It does. It's been a while, in fact, since we've had a book like that from Justice League.
I mean, the annual last week was all one-artist, wasn't it?
Okay, the annual, sure, but even the Thanagar stuff, though, had the different art at the start
back
and
and
the end.
forth.
Yeah.
So, it's been a little bit inconsistent in that sense, but
Does this count as a Doom issue?
I don't think so. This wasn't Tynan. In fact, this is the first one that's not been co-written by Tynan in the credits for like 5 issues or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's why I was gonna ask, because it feels like the pacing, like it should be, but then it wasn't Tynan, so I'm like, is this count as a Justice League story?
Nah,
just a regular issue.
Yeah, it's a regular issue. It's Martian Manhunter, and obviously Lex is the co-star here, but it's still Martian Manhunter. Yeah, so this is an interesting issue where we're on Mars, and Jean's kind of called upon Lex to come and see him, and he's telling this story about what happened because we found out last issue in the annual, or was it the issue before that? I can't remember. But we found out that Jean was held captive on Earth for some time as a child, and he's telling Lex about this, but he's also telling Lex about the religious kind of ceremonies that took place here, that no human had ever stepped in this place.
Shana.
There you go, that's the place. And there's a bit of a twist here in the story where eventually it turns out this kid, what was the kid's using?
Albie,
that was it.
Which was weird because I questioned, because Jean was like, "Hey Lex, can you help me find this Albie?" And Lex like, "You gotta give me more than the other. I know loads of Albies. Hell, like 3 of them work for me." I'm like, I've never heard this name before.
Yeah.
No.
That's a new name
Also, I saw that redheaded mop of hair, and it reminded me of Secret Origin with Superman, and I was like, that's Lex Luthor.
Well, yeah, that's the twist that I was getting at, is that ultimately the twist is that this young Albie, who's the one kid who is nice to Jean when he's held captive, because Lionel's the one who's actually got him held captive, turns out to be Lex Luthor at the end. But his mind was erased, just like Jean's was after this. So Lex sort of, doesn't take this very well. He's kind of resisting it, and they end up running. There's this monster near here that was always there. Martians always had to keep it at bay with psychic power.
What are those names?
Didn't it?
It was
Quainars.
Quainars, yeah. No, it was Quainars, was it not? Quainars?
Quainars.
Yeah.
There we go.
And basically, because Lex thinks he's brought Jarrow with him, so Jarrow can mess with his head. However, though, Jarrow was just there to help psychically fight off these monsters. So
these dragons.
So Lex, kind of ruins things by disabling by disabling Jarrow. And this leads to them sort of running for their lives as we're getting this backstory and we're getting these kind of emotional beats where...
I love the bit where they go, right, Jarrow, come on, fight through it, take this one, and then they just ride it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's kind of the issue for the most part, and it ends in this kind of bittersweet note where Lex doesn't tell the rest of the League of Doom what he found out. He's like, nah, there was nothing worth sharing. Because there's a point where Martian Manhunter's trying to convince him to, like, hey, don't do this, don't try and make up Perpetua. We can work together and we can solve this. You were this alibi. You can be this kid again. And there's at the end when the 2 portals are open, one to the Hall of Justice, one to the Hall of Doom, but Lex pushes him away and they separate. So, but it's setting the seeds where can Lex ultimately maybe realize he's doing the wrong thing?
So. Yeah, so what I love is that Snyder took Lex, who's been a hero, right, for a while, right, coming into Rebirth, he was wearing the Superman S and whatnot, and then he made him a complete villain because he's all about Doom after the New Justice stuff, and now it's like, well, no, there's that portion of him that does want to do good still. It's still alive.
Lex is always the hero of his own story.
Right. And now there's those doubts of, do I wake up Perpetua and really give the universe to Doom, or
that final moment where Lex is doing the Shan meditation thing that was really strong. The idea that really spoke to Lex, and he was like, right, I need to think about what I'm doing.
Yeah, and that whole ritual was this place where the Martians would go and basically reflect on their negative thoughts and emotions,
Well,
and then purge them.
More specifically, get rid of them. It was like the idea of like you get rid of the bad memories and the pain, but ultimately what Jean says to Lex, and the thing that Lex appeals to him is the idea that you get rid of the bad memories because they just drag you down. But the whole idea that Jean's saying that no, they make us stronger, they make us who we are, they make us build and strive to be better. At the end,
know what the bad times are to appreciate the good times.
Yeah, and at the end, when Lex says that to himself, it's almost like he wants to forget this again because this is giving him doubts. That's kind of the moment. So
good.
It's actually really effective. I think this is one of the best issues of the run because it's a character story that has an arc. It is focused, and it's not just here. Let's explain a bunch of shit a page before the big thing happens. Yeah,
it really reminded me of his American Vampire. Like, there was issues of American Vampire where stuff like this would happen. Like, you'd have Skinner, and Skinner Street was such an SOB. And then there'd be this issue where you come to find out, like, oh no, he actually would have a nicer side. And this reminded me of that so much. And I was like, yeah, this is classic Snyder. This is exciting.
This was better Snyder. I think this is one of the best issues of the whole run. Because it was smaller. It wasn't this big, ridiculous, let's explain all this crap that's happening as it's happening.
It wasn't quite as good as last week's annual, but it's very good.
No, it's better than last week's annual. I'm saying it.
I will say,
I agree.
I'm still not a huge fan of the backstory changing shenanigans with, let's throw in young Jean with Lex here, and I don't know.
Like, I don't know. If it ends up paying off, like this whole Justice League run is a story of Jean and Lex, I think that could be cool. Like...
Do you know what's funny? I didn't like when they changed Jean's backstory to, say that he'd been held captive on Earth as a kid. And I still don't to a point, but this gave me something to like about it. Like, the idea that this is like a way to appeal to Lex's humanity. Like, before
I get that. I'm torn on it, because, like I say, I didn't like that they changed it to do this, but, okay, that's what we're doing. But... and then going, he was on Earth when we were a kid, and Lex was there. And I'm like, okay, it's one of those things.
Yeah,
even though I like what it's doing.
So do we think now that they're going to rationalize all this by the reason that Jean was brought to Earth by Professor Erdell was because he's already been here? Like, whatever technology that they used is the same one that Erdell happens upon. Like, I think that could be okay, because that really doesn't change... I mean, it changes Jean a little bit because it makes him seem like a chosen one kind of character, but he wasn't just the last surviving Martian, and that's why he was brought over.
Because wasn't one of the arguments we're trying to say is that the reason why he survives the disease that wipes him out is because he's different, because he was on Earth.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's not the worst thing to retcon him into his story, because we kind of have to justify how he survived in a way. So maybe this kind of works.
And also seeing his stuff here, it also makes me appreciate this version of his origin than what is going on in the mini. It feels like the mini's out of continuity.
Yeah, obviously, there's no reason why he can't then go back to Mars and become a corrupt cop, right? There's no reason why those two things can't also happen, but it feels so separate as an idea.
Yeah, it does. Well, and just the whole Martian culture and whatnot too, because we see his daughter Kim, and she's not this little blobby thing. And I just...
No, was that how many kids? I thought that was him as the kid, and it was his parents who was...
No, because he calls in it's like a memory that he's reliving with his wife and daughter.
Yeah.
I think
he calls her Kim.
Was that how many kid? Okay, fair enough. I think I thought it was when I first read that page, and then as it went on with him as a kid, I assumed it was then, because I assumed because he was teaching Lex about this place that he was remembering when he was being taught about that place.
Yeah. But so anyways, I mean, there's room for both. I'm just saying, to have them both out at the same time, and to have Martian Manhunter be this key figure in Justice League now, and also to have a
honestly, I think it's just the shock of the change. These changes here aren't actually that bad, I don't think, conceptually. It's just a case of we have to have time with them to get used to the idea that this is what the backstory for him is now. And I think if this sticks, if they stick to this backstory for Jean for like 10 years, I think in 10 years' time we're going to be like, this is a fine backstory. This is just what it's been for a while.
It kind of feels like what John used to do with his characters, where he'd introduce something, and you're like, oh, wow, he's changing it. And then by the time you just get, it becomes part of that character. right? Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, don't get me wrong. One of my big pet peeves in stories is when they introduce a villain and they have to retcon the villain into the backstory so that it has this personal connection. And I'm like, nah, this was never there. At least this is like, no, this is changing his origin specifically. Like, no, this is about Jean himself, not just. Sure, Lex was there, but like, it's more about Jean as anything else. So, you know, I don't know. I am conflicted on it in some ways, but there are things to like.
I do love though that maybe this repressed memory is what causes his hatred for Superman so much. Is like he knows he can be friends with an alien deep down somewhere in his subconscious, but you know, Superman always is one-upping him.
That's a really interesting twist to this, actually.
Right?
Yeah, if Lex as a kid was friends with an alien,
yeah,
what does that realization do, given how much he treats, you know, how much he feels about Superman? That's an interesting question to pose.
Oh.
I don't disagree. I think, like I said, I'm a little just cautious about the whole thing. It feels like a lot to change.
There's almost something to do there with that, the idea of like just what growing up under Lionel for the next, 10 years or whatever it was.
You know, I feel like we're gonna get a better version of Smallville Lionel. You know, the mad scientist, Proto Lex.
Well, no, because it says here that after they gave this up, Lionel lost all of his money and stuff, right? So.
Yeah,
because that's why he joined the club and he was this drunk afterwards. Right. So that seemed to happen when Lex was quite young, so it wouldn't be like Smallville at all.
Well, no, but what I mean is, just because he's become a drunk doesn't mean he's gonna stop. Like that's what the whole club was about with the doorknob and all of that stuff. He still continued, just not at the level. So I want to see what that's like, and always the scheming and Lex is trying to not be his dad, but ends up becoming his dad.
I still think a doorknob being the hint for his son was a bit random.
Yeah. I think we'll find out though. You know,
they haven't justified why it was a random doorknob that was meant to be this big hint that his son was supposed to find.
Right.
I don't feel justified in that yet, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But that was a good issue. Art was good, not amazing. I think Cheung's good, but not great.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's really solid though.
So. So yeah. Matt, what are you giving it?
8.5.
Connor?
I'm gonna go with an 8. Didn't reach the heights of last week's.
I will go with 8.5. I thought it was better than last week's by quite a margin, actually.
Me too.
So there you go. We'll move on then to Young Justice issue 2. So Connor can be quiet for a while because me and Matt
I can go get a drink.
I've got a Bendis book to talk about. This is Brian Michael Bendis writing with Patrick Gleason and Emanuela Lupacchino on the art. So
Lupacchino on Young Justice, but no Connor. So bummed out. I've never been so excited yet. So
well, I mean, clearly we're getting to that. I mean, I think it's quite obvious.
No, I know
that this first arc is clearly going to be each issue is going to have flashbacks for one of the characters to explain sort of where they are and how they got here and that kind of thing. Because this issue sets up some of the stuff that's going on in Gem World and the war that's happening. And was it Opal? The Lord Opal is after Amethyst.
Opal. Yeah.
Opal,
Dark Lord Opal.
Dark Lord Opal, yeah. So that sets up that, but most of the issue is actually a flashback with Cass and kind of when she met Zeus a few weeks ago.
So let's call her Cassie because we have Cass.
Sure.
Is
Cassie. You're right.
Orphan. Yeah.
Because we obviously the team all get transported to Gem World. But we catch up with Ginny and
Ginny
Cassie.
Hex.
And
Teen
Lantern, whose name we don't know yet, their real name.
No.
So we have them kind of dealing with each other and try to figure out who they are. Jenny's threatening to shoot both of them because she's, nervous. We end up cutting back to Cassie fighting Desparo, which leads to Zeus showing up and trying to give her birthright, this necklace, which completes the trinity of, the lasso, the gauntlets, and the thingamajig. And she basically turns it down and says, no, like, when I get to this point, I'll get there because I feel like I've earned it, not just because
I earned it.
You've given it to me and you've decided who I'm going to be. So it's this independence that Cassie's going for here. And
it makes her different from Diana, right? Because you feel like Diana would have taken that.
Probably, yeah.
And like, I'll be Zeus's champion. Also, that's new. Zeus is her grandfather? Because I thought it was her father back before. I could be wrong because again I haven't read a lot of pre-John's Cassie. So
was it just me, Was it just me, or was there a lot of references in this with her scenes in the flashback to being surprised that people didn't know who she was? Was it just me, or did it seem like she comes from pre-52 continuity and is kind of weirded out by the fact that no one else seems to know who she is?
Yep.
I was getting that vibe as well.
I was gonna get there because the whole with her fighting Despero too. It's like, well, the last time we saw him, he was taking on the Justice League. How did this one girl beat him? You know, and I like that was a beat here. Yeah. So there's more going on. I mean, the stuff with Gem World. And then we see that Robin and Amethyst have really hit it off, and they're teaming up.
There's some continuity wobbly stuff going on here. Between obviously we know Bart is obviously come out of the Speed Force. We have Tim seems to know things. Connor's around. He's in Gem World at least, and then on top of that now we have Cass, who her memory seems to be more of pre-New 52. So I'm very intrigued as to how we're going to explain this and how it's all going to click together. But clearly it's building to it, though. Given the talk of Seven Crisis, given all the hints of all the little bits of dialogue between this issue and the last issue, it's clearly building towards something, and I'm very intrigued as to where it's building to. So,
and while he's doing this, Bendis is giving us all of these fan favorite for me characters. He's also establishing new characters like Teen Lantern and Jenny Hex. So we're getting the best of both worlds here.
Yeah, because once to try to figure out where they are, Cassie picks up the truck with Jenny inside it, and she's like, "Hey, Teen Lantern, just go inside the truck. You can save your energy." And she's like, "Nope, I'm going to fly my little green ship. Thank you very much." So
God, this is one that I wish was every other week.
Yeah, they run into Robin, because he's flying a unicorn dragon thing. It's a unicorn.
Yeah.
With wings.
Yep.
Not a Pegasus, because a Pegasus doesn't have a unicorn horn, right?
No, it's there's another name for it. I learned it from my nieces when they were into My Little Ponies. Because I got corrected. Anyways,
as you do.
Yeah. Well, and it seems like there's stuff going on in Gem World where they're trying to overthrow Amethyst, who is the rightful ruler. And
that's Opal's side. At the end of the issue, the big cliffhanger is that Lord Opal shows up to kill Amethyst. But her and
Tim... I'm talking about the meeting of all the basically all the families of Gem World. Like, there's a representative there.
And they're seeing with... I think.
No, there was a... I don't have my issue in front of me. Pull it up. It looked like there was a circle of them.
Oh, I'm looking.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. There is actually some more characters in the background.
And they're talking about where they all lie, and you get the feeling like Opal has completely seized House Opal through darker means.
Matt, I'm fairly sure that only two of them ever speak.
Yeah, but I'm talking about there's clearly a meeting going on of these families, and it's supposed to be secret because they're all in the shadows.
Yeah,
and this is the meeting
they're all just talking about survival and who they're going to align with, and they're turning against the Amethyst family because they wanted not be killed by Opal. It's the whole thing.
So I'm wondering too if whatever affected Cass and Connor and whatever is also bled over to Gem World, and that's what's corrupted Opal, because from my last month when I dove into Gem World, Opal was never a really big player in all the Amethyst stuff. So I'm just wondering.
It could just be Bendis taking a smaller character and.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. But I feel like equal and opposite reaction and all that stuff, But yeah, it was a real quick issue. Like, outside of the cast stuff with Zeus, and those pages were gorgeous. I thought, it's Lupacchino, so
it's switched to Lupacchino for the flashback stuff. I really like the art. The art's really good throughout. Really good use of colors again as well. I like what it's doing with Cassie. I like that each issue it's going to be focused on one of the characters like this to give us a good sense of where they are and what's been going through their heads. Because I think the new characters will be interesting. Jenny and Teen Lantern, because it'll be like, okay, here's their origin. Who are they? But for Tim, Bart, and Connor, very interesting stuff. I'm expecting from that, and I think that's what I was getting when Bendis said that by issue 6 he'll have answered a lot of questions. I think.
Yeah.
That'll be why. I can see them saving Connor till issue 6 because that'll be the one that's the most juicy. Potentially.
Yeah, although it did say what happened to Connor Kent.
At the end?
So,
did it say that?
In the tease, yeah.
I didn't notice that. You're right. You're probably right.
Yeah, last page.
Yeah. Quite right.
So,
So we're shifting back to Connor and Bart then,
so
presumably, for next
if
issue.
yeah, so if I feel we're saving one. I feel he's gonna save Tim, because Tim's our connection to I think everything. Because he was there for Rebirth, and he was trapped
Mm.
in Mr. Oz's, that whole realm to do with that stuff, and everyone thought he was dead. And not that he doesn't feel the same, but he feels different now. Like he feels like classic Tim.
Now,
So
since he left in the Detective Comics until now, there's definitely been a development in what he
yep.
knows. So we'll see how that plays out. But no, that was another great issue. I liked everything it was doing. The character interactions between all the girls was great.
Yep.
Getting a sense of who these characters are and what the personalities are like. And then Tim having to introduce Amethyst and Cassie to each other, and it being kind of weird. In a fun kind of awkward teen way.
Yeah.
So it was delightful. I can't really fault it too much. What are you giving it, Matt?
That's a 9.
I'll go 8.5. I don't want to quite go to 9. It ended really quickly, and I'm like, damn, I want more. I know that sounds like a weird complaint, but it was a quick read. So 8.5. So Connor, give us a rest. The Green Lantern issue 4 is next. And both me and Matt didn't read it.
Sorry, hang on. I was shopping for DC statues.
Oh,
There's a sale on.
Keep your head in the game. Head in the game.
This is related. Wasn't this you? I was looking at the Mira bombshell statue is a third of the price that it normally
we
is.
were talking about all sorts of things you'd be interested in.
Probably, but I don't want to know, because then I'll be more annoyed.
But yeah, the Green Lantern issue 4, Grant Morrison, Liam Sharp. Matt said he was dropping. I said I might read the next one, but basically, when it got to almost recording time, it was either get television from the Multiverse online or read Green Lantern, and I picked getting the show up to you, the people, because I care about the people getting that
if
content.
you really cared, you'd have read this. You've had all week. You only had 7 books.
I just wasn't enthusiastic about it, but it's all on you, Connor. Take it away.
Yeah, this is maybe the best issue yet. Maybe it's close with last issue. You might have preferred this one. This is actually 3 stories essentially. We have a framing device of 2 strangers on Ran. One is like a cowboy sort of fella, drinking a beer. He's got 4 arms, and then you have this woman who is in a helmet. You can't see her face, with a big cloak on, and it's the 2 of them telling stories essentially. One story each, and so I'll skip to it. So the woman is the leader of the Black Stars. She's the Black Star, as she is going by here, and she is what's her name? She's a cosmic vampire, Countess Belzebeth. Very cool design once we see her at the end. But this actually goes back to, it tells the story of the very first issue that the antimatter lantern that was stolen from that vault. It kind of tells how she accomplished that, and it was by using Sun Eaters. Those are back.
Because it's Grant Morrison, so why wouldn't it?
Pretty much. But they're actually a big part of this book. They're the main thing that connects the 2 stories, because this story is definitely the shorter one. This is how we open. It's basically her assaulting this world and goes, hey, look, there's Sun Eaters here, so they're under my control. They'll do what I say. So open your vault and give me what I want. And then she kind of just destroys them anyway, because she's awful. But the other story is her asking the cowboy dude. It's like, hey, so that Hal Jordan, I hear you know what's happened to him. Because obviously last issue we left where he killed the unarmed prisoner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's dealing with that. This is basically the Sun Eaters are back, and they've come for Earth, I think. And it's basically, well, what do we do? There's 3 lanterns. Hal's one of them, and it's like, right, how do we stop them? So they call in reinforcements. There's a smart star lantern. It's basically like, one of the planet-sized lanterns. He's an AI, but he is essentially a star.
This is my issue with Morrison. Sometimes he doesn't know what's too much.
It doesn't feel too much in the issue.
I know, but it's like, it's cool. A planet that's a Green Lantern. Yeah, we have Mogo. Okay, what's cooler than that? He's a star and he's an AI. And you're like, all right, great. Let's one step at a time, bud. Like,
sure. This is
is there anything that explains why Hal's personality was going weird at the end of the last issue?
We're getting to that still. Okay. By going weird, you mean the execution?
The execution, right? Then him being like, "Yeah, good, he deserved it," or whatever he said. I can't remember what the line was.
That's still being teased. There are hints that's going on. We don't know exactly what's happening. And basically, he deals with the Sun Eaters. He actually kills one of them when one of the other Green Lanterns gets kind of abducted.
Hal's killing a lot of things recently.
This wasn't as intentional.
Did Zack Snyder have any input on this story? Because I feel like he might have done.
This wasn't like a straight up murder. This was while he was saving one of the other Green Lanterns. He killed it in the process. And it turns out the other one that was left, they were a breeding pair. The other one was pregnant. So that one's still out there. That one is...
Whoa!
Matt.
Whoa, you make, Matt.
Whoa. I was going to say, it's worth noting that it explicitly tells us that this pregnant one is not dead. It's just dormant and kind of shunned away where they can kind of keep an eye on it, but it is not dead.
Good. So as a fan of cosmic wildlife, that would be a shame.
Yeah. But it is a very, intentionally like, no. This one was like in the battle. But this one, there wasn't that. It didn't do that on purpose. It didn't kill it just for the sake of it. But he actually gets dragged in by a couple of lanterns. The volcano head dude that we saw earlier in the book. He gets dragged into the Guardians, and they're like, "Okay, you went too far. You can't be just killing people. We're the only ones who have the right to sanction lethal force when we deem it necessary. As they've done occasionally in the past."
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, there's going to be a due process. We'll sort it all out. Right now, you're not looking after Earth. We're going to give that to the other lanterns. They'll sort it out. Stuart, Baz, and Cruz specifically. And you're basically going, right, we're going to put you under house arrest on the planet. You can go on Earth, or you can go somewhere else you want. We're going to put you under house arrest while we deal with this. And then basically, like this story that the cab was telling, and the Black Star, she's like, what's going on here? Why are the Guardians being such dicks to Hal? He was doing his job. He saved Earth twice here. Why are they treating him like this scum?
Mm-hmm.
And then naturally, it reveals that the cowboy is Hal, and the extra arms were just some constructs underneath. He's wearing a coat over them, so you can't tell they're green. It's not like he's just made it a different color. He's bought the coat.
He's deep undercover with the Black Stars.
That's what I'm feeling. Because it basically ends with, look, all right, the Guardians are being dicks. I'm here to join you. Here's my ring. I'll throw this in. I'll help you out. Now, I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago when we had solicits that people were freaking out over, Hal joining the Black Stars and got to do this. And it's like, okay, it feels very much going undercover. Like he's doing this for a reason. Like there is a purpose here. I still can't give you solid answers as to why he did what he did last issue, but it seems to be the point of, okay, that's where his mindset is. There are no answers as to why he did that just yet, beyond where we were last issue with just if this is something that is it a ruse or is it or has he kind of finally crossed that line? We're no clearer on that, but that's not a criticism. That's very much in keeping with what the tone of the issue is. This is the opposite of a decompressed story, because there is you could get 3 issues of story out of this if you wanted to with other writers. But it doesn't feel rushed, packed in here. It feels really well done. The art is spectacular. It's probably Sharp's best issue on the book yet. There's all these great layouts in space. The Star Eaters look phenomenal. Everything, all the planets look different. Like when we're on Ran, it looks completely different. Weirwham, I think, was the name of the planet that's getting conquered at the start, with these fantastic insectoid alien ones, that we saw before. Like all the designs are great. So I'm really digging it. I'm looking forward to seeing what exactly Hal's plan is, because obviously there's a plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know what it is. I like the design of this cosmic vampire that we're dealing with as the villain, the Black Star. So, yeah, I'll give it a solid 8.
Okay.
All right.
Green Lantern. And that's I mean, I've probably dropped a bit now. The chances of me reading 2 issues next time are pretty slim.
No. Fair enough. Like I said, this is moving forward with the story. It's not going. I know it's introducing these ideas of the Star AI and the Sun Eaters are there, but it actually, when it boils down to the Hal side of it, it feels a lot more personal than the rest of the book has. It's dealing with him and the Guardians. It's kind of classic Hal.
I've just not been that enthused about reading this the last few issues, so the thought next time of me going, yeah, I'll read 2 of them back to back to catch up, is just highly unlikely.
Yeah.
But hey. That'll take us on to Green Arrow 49. This is Collin Kelly and Jackson Lanzing writing with Javier Fernandez on the art. So this is the second half of this 2-part story before issue 50 does its own wrap-up thing for the series.
Yeah.
So we did like the last one quite a bit, actually. This is they're going towards Vertigo, who is demanding to see Roy, and it ultimately builds up to Oliver finally just saying you can't because he died. And it's actually kind of a touching scene where Vertigo just kind of stops attacking and says, "Well, wait, how?" And, things
it's like, was it the heroin?
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, he'd been clean for a while." Like,
yeah.
So, how'd you feel?
It's also, I liked how it developed Vertigo and how Ollie figured out how to defeat him, because he just did this through practice, and so he's like, "Oh well, no, this is just the next notch up from his implant. He's in our head, So I like that. Like, that's why the city's been affected that way.
I liked it. I don't think it quite lived up to last issue. I think last issue was better, and even the stuff with all the Vertigo City. I thought the tease that we got of the last couple of pages of the last issue, the get into Vertigo stuff. I thought that played with it a lot better than it did here. There's a couple of moments here where it's good, and it uses it, but for a lot of it, kind of felt just like it was there. So I only really played with it once or twice, which was a little disappointing for me because that's what I was hoping for out of it.
Yeah, but see, I liked how it affected. Like, he's looking for Roy, and then we're getting Ollie's flashbacks of Roy. Like, I thought it was really nice, like, to explore their partnership, through the lens of Vertigo. And like he designed his arrows for him, and he had the EMP one to stop Vertigo for the next,
Yeah, I liked the last issue a bit more. I would agree with that. Although, I did like how he kind of, like, Oliver at one point in this issue just kind of takes this leap of faith, even though it looks like he's going to fall to his death. Because it's like, no, this is just in my head. This is not actually the geography of the situation. And that's when he fires his arrow. But the page where he finally says that he's dead, and the next page is the full page spread of like the city's gone back to normal because Vertigo just falls to his knees, and he's like, "How?" I like that moment. I thought it wasn't as strong as last issue, but it did do a solid enough job where I'm like, again, for what was essentially a 3-issue fill-in that's also the end of the series.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's fairly solid.
Just, like this, I wish it had played more with the city. Like there's the 2 moments are when he decides to jump when he when he's sure.
I feel like
then and then the follow-up moment is during that when he's fallen, he reaches for his quiver for the arrow, and he pulls out the Space Needle.
I feel like
that's pretty cool.
I feel like to do that, though, that needed an extra issue where the middle issue was just going to be action before we got to the emotion stuff here in this one.
Maybe, yeah.
I feel like they're limited by the fact that, okay, you've only got 3 issues, the last one has to be this, so that this 2-parter can just be this. I feel like if they had 3 issues for this arc, then the middle one would just be this action issue of playing with the city and playing with all this.
Yeah, I think it's that this is such a huge development for Vertigo, right? To get to this level of being more powerful. Even if he's not physically affecting it, just this concept that he's doing this is such a huge jump forward from, as they put it, the headaches. That I really wanted to see that played with some more. That was what the selling point of the end of the last issue was for me, was going, oh, well, let's play with this stuff. And I feel like a little bit let down that I didn't get more of that. Maybe it could have, if it was 3 issues and we had more time, we would have got that, and this could have been a lot better if that was the case.
Yeah, I kind of like how Oliver gets really angry and like threatens to kill him at one point, and Dinah talks him down. It's like, this is not about him. It's not that.
Yeah.
I like that moment. And him just wrecking the desk and like sitting there looking at Roy's hat, and like it's playing with that well enough. The little cliffhanger at the end is Dana getting basically an order to kill Oliver Queen.
Yeah, that was rough times, because now it's making me think of the New 52 when she was a secret agent.
Yeah,
I never read that stuff, so that's
no.
Yeah, this dude walking up to her at the end was honestly a bit of a like, what the hell is this shit? What's going on? So
yeah, that stuff was rough.
Yeah,
really, like even by New 52 standards, it was rough.
Yeah, the last page is annoying because it's like there's nothing like.
It's cheap.
It's cheap. It rubbed me the wrong way even when I didn't know what it was. Now that you're telling me this is like New 52 bollocks, it's even worse. It's got a stigma attached to it. So who knows what they'll do with that. But it's only 1 issue. I assume she'll get around it very quickly.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's going to be her.
Unless that's why it's the last issue, because she just caps him in the back of the head. She succeeds. And that's it.
Yeah, she succeeds. Yeah,
I think it was like the last issue is going to be her going, "Hey Ollie, got this order. Not going to do it."
Yeah.
Very likely.
And be like, right, well, let's go and stop them.
Although, right, do you know like the Godzilla 2014? There's that scene where he opens the monster's mouth and he does his atomic breath into the mouth. I just thought of a really fun way of Black Canary to kill someone. Like, mid-kiss, just like to go full scream into the mouth and then just watch the back of the head blow out.
I'm just the idea of her grabbing someone's mouth, holding it open and screaming, and just watching the back splatter.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's a hell of an image.
I kind of want like an evil alternate Earth Black Canary now, Black Siren, to show up so that we can do this.
Yes, but don't call it Black Siren.
Yeah, but Dinah wouldn't do it though. That's why it has to be another Earth. But yeah. It was okay. It was I had some moments. It worked. Yeah. So, what are you giving it, Matt?
7.5.
Connor?
Just 7.
Yeah, I'll give it a 7 as well. Yeah, it was good. Not amazing, but good. So, and Fernandez's art was pretty solid.
Yeah. I didn't think it was quite as strong as last issue again. But it was pretty solid.
So yeah. Moving on then to Adventures of the Super Sons, issue 7. Peter J. Tomasi writing with Carlos Barberi back on the art. He was missing last issue. So this issue was Damien. They're on this prison planet for juveniles, and it's got like a full functioning city and all that. Like, and Damien's running around. He's essentially being Batman on this city because he's like on the gargoyles. He's looking down. I say gargoyles. I mean, it's more of a futuristic looking city, but same difference.
But still different.
Yeah. And all throughout the issue, we're getting teases of where John is because he's in solitary confinement because he's powered by the sun. So they've got him in a dark room with no sunlight. And young Joker Jr. was trying to like break him out, but Grundette stops him, who's working for Rex Luthor. And most of the issue though is Damien trying to find where John is and try to find him by tracking where Joker Jr. went. And it leads to a gizmo. It leads to like him saving some innocents in the street. And...
a Riddler, where he was supposed to give him a riddle.
Yeah.
But Damien scared him enough that he forgot, and then has to give it to him. That was fun.
And when we say Riddler, we should point out here for anyone who's not reading and just listening to us describe it. This is a bunch of just random people on this planet that Rex Luthor has forced to wear costumes of Earth villains.
So, do you believe the Green Lantern character that he said that he is undercover and he's a training member of the Green Lanterns? Because we know that's not how it works. And he's wearing Sinestro's costume, like his original, the blue and black one. Like,
yeah, at first I took that as like he's saying that's his backstory because he's playing the part, because he's supposed to be like Sinestro in this team. But then he kept saying it, and I was like, is he actually from somewhere? Is there something to this? And I don't know, because you're right, it doesn't work that way. It's never worked that way.
So yeah, this is such a weird book. Like from where it started,
It so is. I'll be honest, I actually think this is one of the best issues of the series.
Mhm.
And the reason why I think that is because it has more of a defined focus. I felt like a couple of I've enjoyed this entire run of this book, but I feel like, it got into this holding pattern where every issue it was kind of like, yeah, it was fun again, characters are fun, it's doing solid things. I think the plot in this issue had a really nice focus because it was about Damien looking for John, and it was about the try to rescue John and getting to him. And it was like every couple of pages we had those panels where it was just the black, but you had the little crack of light coming in and the light's hitting his hand, and eventually, of course, the issue ends with him breaking out of his cell and standing there.
He looks rough. Yeah, like.
And it's time to escape now, kind of thing. So I dug this a lot. I thought it had a good structure. I thought it had I thought Damien being on his own and having to think a bit more like a Batman was kind of fun, and him threatening people, and it was just. All of it just it had a really nice flow to it, and a really nice structure, and it felt like in terms of building to a climax, it was building to finding John the whole issue.
Yeah.
So I think narratively it was maybe one of the most satisfying issues the book's had up until now.
Yeah. It's all I can say that like I'm enjoying it and it's still good. Like the art, hey, it's not the same artist it's been, right? It's been Barberi the whole time?
Last issue was different, but every issue before that was Barberi.
Okay. Yeah, because I was saying the art was up again. Like I really enjoyed this art with these characters. So and seeing all the different versions of the alien versions of Rex's, Injustice Gang. Like you said, Grandet and Gizmo and Damien putting it together who they're supposed to be. Like that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, that was good. I think again the art, because it had a bit more variety this time as well, because it was dealing with those dark panels and the crack of light and all that. It was doing some things that are a little bit different, but it's just as expressive as it's ever been. Just really well defined. So I can't really fault it. I think maybe some of the sequentials were probably better in this issue compared to some. And again, I think this is why I like this issue so much, is because the structure lent itself to being this chase where it felt like Damien was like, not that he was on a ticking time clock, but it felt like it was always going to converge at the end. So it felt like he was always working towards this point. And I think the art kind of helped with that, because it always kind of felt like he was running to something.
Pushing forward, yeah.
So, that was a really solid issue. What are you giving it, Matt?
I'm going to give it an 8. A whole lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll agree with the 8. I thought it was really good. I think it's maybe the best issue of this, at least this part of Super Sons, this Adventures, the Super Sons.
I agree. I'll agree with that.
I really liked it. So, that'll take us on to our final book of the week. It is an issue 1 for a new miniseries. It's called Female Furies, issue 1. Cecil Castellucci is writing with Adriana Melo on the art. Melo, of course, we liked a lot on the Plastic Man mini we had.
Art's very Wang.
The art is very Wang indeed. So this is about Granny Goodness training the Furies, obviously set in the earlier days, before Barda was with Scott Free and all the rest of it. And do you know what's funny about this is, like, this started off and I could see what it was doing, right? I was like, okay, so this is dealing with misogyny but on Apocalypse. I was like, that's a really smart idea. I actually kind of like this. I like the idea that of course this would exist in Apocalypse because they're all awful. Of course it'd have misogyny.
And I appreciate all of that. I just felt like,
well, no, let me finish my point, Matt. Okay, I really liked that at the start. I was like, oh no, this is a great idea. This is something you should do. This is a really smart idea. And then the more it went on, the more it kept being less and less subtle. And it was when it got to the point where Darkseid and his cronies are literally holding up scores for a beauty pageant, where I was like, okay, this doesn't feel like a real story anymore. It feels like someone had an idea for essentially, not a skit. A skit's not quite the right word, because it's trying to tackle a serious topic, but it feels like it's just a made up thing to get a point across instead of an actual story.
Very much. So instead of being a story, it came off as satire.
Yes, instead of being like a story that has these themes, which I thought it was going to be at the start, and I actually really liked that. But, when it was about how Granny Goodness was being looked down upon and wasn't being treated equally to the other generals, I was like, oh, this is an interesting idea. Tackle it, and this is why she's so motivated. Yeah, I like that idea,
and I really like that with Granny Goodness, because she always there's something about her that you feel like she is Darkseid's equal, but for whatever reason, he put her in charge of training, and that's as far as she could go, because he knew that she would take him over one day if she didn't know her. You know what I mean? and I always get that vibe from her. And then this writes that in to the character, but it's through that lens of misogyny. So I like that. But
I like the idea that Darkseid does respect her to some degree. That's why training is like, no.
Yeah.
All of these people you're training are going to replace all of this shit lot I got around me.
Yeah, no,
like, we can do better.
Like I say, so it started off and I liked it, and then I thought it got really on the nose. Like when it got to the point in the flashbacks when it was, when they were just taking over Apocalypse, and Darkseid insisted that she sleep with him. I thought, okay, this is getting really like unsubtle now. But I still liked it, right? I was still into it. But like I say, it was when they made the Furies, like, do a beauty pageant where they got on dresses, they made food, they did all these other things. I was like, this is starting to feel more like, as you say, like a satire sketch than it is an actual real story with the themes of what it's trying to do, which I really like the idea of. Earlier on.
Yeah, why use a scalpel when you can use a sledgehammer, right?
Yeah. I mean,
what were you gonna say, Connor?
As a big fan of satire, I was still really into where it went.
Well, I liked where it went because I want to know who this Aurelie is, and so like, I started looking, and I think she's a new character. And of course, my eyes are drawn to the redheadish one. Of course.
Well, to be fair, it makes a point of going, everyone's drawn to her, right? That's kind of the idea here.
Yeah. And so I'm looking up her, and she's not in the, female Furies history, so I think she's new. And also, I read up this thing where this solved this paradox where, I guess in the old Kirby stories, which I've never read, you never really saw the female Furies in action. Like, you always heard about them, but you never saw them. And the writer of this was like, oh, well, because Kirby understood, like where women were in society at the time he wrote these. So that was his little wink of what's wrong is that if Earth is supposed to represent like the how did he put it?
It's all this behind the scenes. They're the instrumental ones, but we're not really giving them the credit.
Yeah, exactly. And like if Apocalypse is meant to represent the worst of Earth, then of course this would happen there in upper magnitudes. Which I like, but again, all right, you have a nice thread there. And then
because early on,
hammers to death.
Yeah, because earlier on when she's trying to kill the
general.
Whoever she is, I can't remember who she's killing at the start, but she's killing the women, and the old dude comes in and throws her.
Darkseid's mother, isn't it?
Darkseid's mother, the old dude comes in and throws her some poison, right? And she like forces the poison down her, and then Darkseid comes in and the dude's like, "Yeah, I killed him for you, Darkseid," and he gets all the credit, and I'm like, "Okay, I see what you're doing here." Like, and again, this is what I liked. I liked that it was kind of setting this stuff up. But I think like I like satire well enough, but it feels weird here because it feels like less of an incontinuated story and more like it's like it's like instead of having the themes of what you're doing, like instead of we're going to do a story about Granny Goodness and the misogyny of Apocalypse, it feels like we're doing just all of these like obvious bits that we can do, right? All these obvious jokes, and jokes is maybe not even the right word, but all of these set piece moments that we can do, and we're just going to wrap some kind of story around it. That's what this first issue felt like to me.
What's the opposite of subtle? Because that's what this was.
Blunt.
Blunt, I guess.
Blunt.
Because it wasn't.
That's the thing, though. It's so blunt though that it almost starts to feel like a parody. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
But again, I'm going to stick around because I am curious to see what happens with Aurelie.
To his credit, I never thought it was a hard read though. Like it actually flowed quite well.
No, it's really enjoyable, and the art stuff is great. I like the switch between the old almost the Kirby-esque.
It's very flat and bright and I don't want to say flat because Kirby's art isn't flat, but it's very
it's flat in the colors is what you're thinking. That's what it is.
But I like that. And also, looking at Granny Goodness when she was younger, it reminds me of Brienne of Tarth on Game of Thrones.
I can totally see it.
Right? Like, she's got the short haircut, and you're like, oh, no, she's a badass that deserves to be in charge.
She would be great casting.
Right? But still, when I read Granny Goodness in the present, I hear Mama Fratelli from the Goonies. Like...
I don't know, I get more Kathy Bates kind of vibes from her, but I mean...
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. To each their own. But, and there's always a sticking point of Granny Goodness is the only female general that we ever saw in Apocalypse.
Yeah.
You know, for all these other ones, you know, you have Kanto and Steppenwolf and all of that.
Sad.
So I like that they're kind of making her a sympathetic character, because even in Mr. Miracle, we kind of got that. Like, she, through Scott's eyes, like, she cared for him. You know, 'cause
Yeah.
we got those more than some of the other kids. So I like that idea that she's, you know, yeah, she's a villain, but you can care about her.
Yeah, in terms of plot beats here, at the end of the issue, Aurelie and Bard are on this mission, and then the Steppenwolf's bastard son, what's his name? I don't know his name off the top of my head.
Rublon.
There you go. He shows up and he's like, "Nah, we'll take it from here. This is a man's job." Yeah, you know, bunch of
It's the idea of, well, there's only one of me and there's two of you, so clearly
Right.
I'm twice as good.
yeah. So he tries to take this runaway girl back, but then as he's going away, he kind of says to her, like, "Hey, if you kiss me, I'll make your punishment less severe." And Aurelie kind of snaps because she's been sexually abused and harassed by.
I really like the idea that none of the other Furies know about that. They think that she's getting special treatment. They think it's a good thing.
Yeah, because he's like, "Oh, you can come train with me," and he's actually just, you know, it's just an excuse to feel her up as much as humanly possible.
Yeah, he's groping her and being disgusting.
And she snaps here and she kills the guy. She just slits his throat, right? And then it's like, okay, we have to dispose of his body. We'll throw him in this asteroid that's going past.
Yeah, in a comet, and he'll burn up or freeze. Either way, he's not our problem.
Yeah, he's dealt with. No one will know
Good
the
logic.
difference. So that's how we end the first issue. So I'm curious to. I don't want to read the next one. I'm curious to see where it goes from here, and like, because I presume plot will take more of a precedence now because we've got plot rolling. But...
Yeah, I almost if there wasn't that beauty pageant section, like, this book is almost like grade level. I feel like, because you can even look at it as satire, but that takes it too far.
The beauty pageant, the comedy of them cutting to like a panel of Darkseid and his generals holding up number scorecards and stuff like that. That for me was the line too far.
Yeah, I was still quite into that. Personally.
I just thought that was silly because it's Darkseid.
Yeah, well, it doesn't fit like their culture. You know, like I would expect that, like, they're like in online comic strips that use these characters. I could totally see that.
Yeah, like, as a comedy thing that someone does outside of continuity, it's fine, but it's not. I mean, this might not even be in continuity, but as a proper DC comic, it feels weird because I think that's part of the thing is, like, Apocalypse even knows what a pageant like this is. Like, they have pageants. Like, what?
I will say the one thing that made me laugh was Mad Harriet. Her expression never changes.
Yeah.
She's always got an evil, like, gnashing grin.
I think, I'll be honest, based on the writer, this is kind of what I expected. Because this is the same writer that did Shade, the Changeling Girl.
Yeah.
It's pretty much exactly what I expect from that writer, you know, like, it feels like that.
Again, it's a story that deserves to be told, and I feel like it can definitely with the right spotlight, but if we keep getting too much of the jokey, it's going to lose its impact, I feel.
I will say Lashina and Mad Harriet are my favourite Furies outside of Barda.
Yeah.
They have the best looks, I think, are the other ones.
Yeah.
They just look cool.
I'm really worried about Aurelie now.
Yeah, she's not making it out.
Yeah, because she's a new character, so we can kill her.
Yeah.
Well,
that's like Stampa. Stampa's a pretty cool look too.
This is the thing. I don't think we do just kill her. I think she's getting some sort of punishment that's worse.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then she's being forgotten about. She probably does something great, and someone takes the credit, and she's completely forgotten about because of it.
Or she, you know, heads over to New Genesis and decides to live there and finds out that it's not any better. You know, like, it's this place that's supposedly the complete opposite of Apocalypse, but it's the same. You know, I could see that being part of the story too.
Yeah, I like the art though, and I actually thought the writing flowed really well. Like, it was a really easy read, despite the actual beats that were maybe a bit of an issue because it went a bit too far. But what are we giving it, Matt?
I'm gonna give it an 8. For all the stuff we talked about that I was wrong with it, it was still, like you said, it wasn't unreadable. Like, I'm curious to see where it goes. So, and it was quite surprising. I didn't think I was gonna like it as much as I did.
Connor?
I'm gonna 7.5.
I'm gonna give it a 7 just because I do think it goes a bit too far, but I did think it was fairly well written outside of like some of the beauty pageant sort of section. And the art is pretty good. I think Melo does a really good laughing granny goodness.
Yeah. I just a question on something that's not specifically in the issue but related to it. Often a lot of these minis don't get variant covers, and I didn't get one with this.
Yeah.
However, I'm looking in the credits, and Francesco Mattina is credited as the variant cover. I'm wondering, did that get pulled given the controversy with him over the last couple of weeks?
Possibly.
I didn't hear any announcement of it, and I googled it just to see. Oh, was it already? It's up online. I'm looking at it.
If it's not in the book, it's not in the book.
No.
Yeah. I didn't notice.
Yeah, because the minis don't necessarily always have. They often
No,
don't.
obviously, Mr. Miracle did in that.
Yeah.
You know, they had Gerard's do all the variants.
Yeah, but most minis don't, and even the New Age of Heroes books don't have variants. I don't think.
No. Annuals don't usually get them either.
Yeah. But there you go. So that'll actually take us on to the best stuff of the week. This is where we pick our favourite panel/moment, best art, best cover, and top 5 books of the week. I read 6, so only one's not making it. We'll see which one it is. So, yeah, Matt, what's your panel/moment of the week?
Oh, this one's tough because nothing's coming to mind at the top. Well, I'll go from Justice League. I'll go from the Lex had the decision to make, and he went back to the Legion of Doom headquarters instead of the Justice. You know, what was it called? I want to call it Watchtower. It's not anymore.
Hall of Justice.
Hall of Justice. Thank you. Jeez. Yeah, that'll be mine.
All right, Connor.
So mine's from the Green Lantern. It is the moment where the AI son finally appears. He pops in and he's like, "Oh, yo, Lantern, whatever his name is, reporting for duty. Well, where's the problem, officers?" It's like, shield your eyes, guys. Oh, cracked me up. I like that dude.
Of course.
All right. I am probably going to go. I feel like it's definitely something from Young Justice. I'm just looking at.
Well, I wanted to go from Young Justice, but I didn't feel like there was any
standout moment,
specific moment,
popping moments, because it was long moments.
Yeah. No, that's kind of true.
I get that. That happens in even some great books. Like that we've said a lot of the time on this show that sometimes a book can be too consistent to have a moment.
Yeah. I don't know what I want then.
It was pretty cool to see her throw Despero on the stairs, with her lasso, and he's all conked out except his third eye is wide open. That was pretty cool.
There would maybe be moments from Batman, but the art just kind of
yeah. You can't give that a moment.
It takes it away. Yeah, I can't do it. You know what? I'll go with Super Sons. I'll go with Adventures of Super Sons. I'll go with John breaking out at the end. And even more specifically, the actual build-up to it. It's the page before the last panel when Damian looks over to where he's coming from and says, finally, it's more endearing for Damian than normal. He's not like, oh, finally, dickhead. It's not like that. He's actually happy to see him. So Damian being excited to find John as a moment, and then you turn the page and it's the full page spread of John standing there, and he's all his shredded glory. So, but on to best cover of the week then, Matt.
Okay, I was not ready for this.
Do you want me to jump in? Because I think it's easy.
Yeah,
it's the Batman variant, the Murphy one.
Yeah. I'm
looking at
it
the sideways
now.
one, but it's fantastic, and nothing's topping that.
You know what? I'm gonna say the Young Justice variant because I like that they all have their hands in, ready to go team.
I haven't actually seen that one. Let me go have a look.
Yeah.
I'm
excited to see who it's by.
I'll give you the Murphy one for
Murphy
Batman.
one's dope.
But I will
I'm not
say that
on the Young Justice one. I'll be honest. I like the idea, but I don't know. The image itself doesn't.
Well, it's Sanford Green, and he's got a very cartoony style. He did the Power Man and Iron Fist series that I was enjoying until Civil War II. Took it from me.
I will give you Batman. I'm going to pick that variant as well. However, I do want to voice my displeasure of it being sideways. I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't mind it for a cover, for a variant, especially these you know, the ones without any other banners and stuff that are clearly meant for display purposes. That's what they're doing them with. It's like, yeah, all right, frame it.
Yeah, I just don't know. I'm voicing it. I hate it in books. I hate when I get to a double page spread and it's like, no, you have to flip your book to read this. So I'm like, piss off.
Did you see the Deathstroke variant?
No, I'm gonna have a look now though. Who was
it? It's very psychedelic. It's Dave Johnson, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I do like that.
It's very like
so hippie.
Yeah, very Sienkiewicz, like when he was doing Nick Fury and he would do all the paneling. You know, it's very much like that.
It's so 60s.
All right, Matt, what's your best art of the week?
It's the 1-2 punch from Young Justice of Lupacchino and Gleason. They handled it very well. I like, you know, Lupacchino on Wonder Woman characters is always a win for me. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just jump ahead. It's this Young Justice as well. That's very good in that book. Connor, what are you picking?
Yeah, this is obviously Batman, isn't it? No.
He's finally broken.
We may as well just call this the Guillem March Award, because that's, you know, name this after him.
Who else would be so deserving? No, it's sharp on Green Lantern. I think it's fantastic stuff.
All right, top 5 books of the week, Matt. Go.
All right, so number 1 is Young Justice. Number 2 is Justice League. Number 3 is, let me pull these up in front of me. Did I give Super Sons a higher score? I can't remember. Oh, this sucks when I don't have my books in front of me. Let me give me. I'm loading it up on the previews. Oh my God. I had next week's ready to go to correct Pete.
Yeah, me too. I went back just to look at the covers and I'm like, oh, forward again.
Come on, hurry up, you stupid computer. I tell you what's not on my list is Batman. So
that's the one you've cut out of your 6.
Yeah,
it's pretty.
Yeah. Well, we'll go Young Justice, Justice League, and the rest of them aren't loading right now. There it goes. This is I'm sure great. It is.
Oh my.
We'll go. Super Sons, Female Furies, and I guess Green Arrow. Yeah, Green Arrow. 5.
Oh, got there in the end.
Sorry, guys.
I'm yawning.
I just want to say, Pete, next week, Wonder Woman has a sideways variant.
Excellent. Connor, what's your top 5?
I have to go to next week.
Yeah, my top books are Justice League, Green Lantern, Female Furies, and Green Arrow.
Alright, my top books, number 1 is Young Justice, number 2 is Justice League, number 3 is Super Sons, number 4 is Female Furies, number 5 is Green Arrow. And Batman with the Guillem March arc can lie off that list. Thank you very much.
I'm taking it. Frisian's not doing the Wonder Woman variants anymore.
No, that's moved off.
Well,
but
hold on.
It's Argem doing the variant.
Before we start talking about what's coming next week, I did ask people on Twitter at DC Comics Podcast. Which
me and Matt just going off the back covers, that's all.
You can follow us on there at DC Comics Podcast on the Twitters, and every week I will put out a tweet asking you guys what your favourite DC book of the week is and why, and we'll read a few out. Basically, it was it was Justice League and Green Lantern getting most of the praise this week. I'll read a few of these here. At that Scott Travels. I really was surprised at how much I liked Justice League. I'm not a big fan of Martian Manhunter, but when he was giving the history with Lex, I was really enjoying it. I have been continuously happy with Justice League since No Justice, looking forward to more. And then we had at Real Big Cohen, got to go with Justice League. Perhaps I haven't read those comics, but I like the idea of exploring a younger Lex. I also wasn't familiar with Cheung before he came to Justice League. I think his art is epic. So just to give a sort of alternate opinion here from someone else about Green Lantern. At Clark Doom, Green Lantern, it took a couple of rereads, But when it all clicked, it was glorious. I think Morrison's secret sauce is in his dialogue. Every character has a pronounced personality that's engaging and interesting. His transitions are what I think make his book require multiple reads. I mean...
That is hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, for me... that's kind of why I don't like this book but that much, but for all each their own.
To each their own. I understand the Morrison love. It's not for me.
It depends on the book.
When he does write a story that resonates with me, though, it tends to be one of my favorite things. So
depends on the book. He's got a couple of things that I love, but there's a lot of his stuff that I don't like that much. So but there you go. So yeah, so follow us at DC Comics Podcast, and next week you can tell us what you think, and we may say it on the show. But yeah, so what's left to do but tell you what's coming next week on the show. Big week next week.
Yep.
We have
one of those.
Yes, we have Detective Comics 998, Superman issue 8, Wonder Woman 64, The Flash 64, which is the second part of the crossover that we just started this week.
And not Guillem March.
We have Justice League Justice League Dark number 8. That was Connor's fault because he interrupted. Supergirl 27, Catwoman issue 8, Titans 34, Hawkman 9, the final issue of Sideways, which is issue 13, Wonder Twins issue 1.
No Sideways.
No Sideways,
no
I got pushed. No Catwoman either. Jeez, okay, maybe it's not as big.
Yeah,
no Catwoman.
It's suddenly manageable.
Maybe it's not as big.
I still have a lot.
Yeah, we also have the Batman Who Laughs number 3 as well, and the one thing that's coming out that we're not covering is Red Hood Outlaw number 31. Although Connor will get there eventually.
Did you say Wonder Twins?
I did, yes.
Because I'm gonna read the shit out of that.
No doubts, Matt. No doubts.
I'm pretty excited for it.
Form of Ice Dragon.
Yeah.
Still a lot of books though. That's still 2, 4, 6, 8. That's still 10 books. Still a hefty week.
Hefty week, yeah.
Yeah. So
also, I'm already gonna give you a spoiler probably for my cover next week because Lupacchino's doing the variant for Supergirl. So.
I mean, it's good. It's real good.
Mm-hmm.
It's up there.
Well, good covers. So that's what's coming next week. We just mentioned the Patreon picks. It's probably worth mentioning, actually, that there'll be a change. Obviously, I finished Hawk and Dove issue 8, which one of our patrons has been making me read. And that same patron... What?
Just before you get to this, I was just glancing at the covers. And you know how there have been some really top-tier artists on the variant?
Yeah.
Matt, would you do me a favor? You still got the page up?
Hmm?
Yeah. Read out the name of who's doing the Superman variant. Who you've got stuck with on Superman variant? You know, your top tier character.
I'm pulling it up. I'm gonna look at it and then.
Was this really?
This was worth interrupting.
No, it's not. You could have waited till I was done with the segment.
Bitch.
You could have waited till I was done with the segment.
No, this is relevant based on things you've been discussing because of Patreon.
You can still wait till I was done. I was in the middle of explaining it, and now it's awkwardly cut off in the middle. Like I am mid explaining what it is. Mid flow.
Well,
guys, it's
Matt...
not my fault. It's terrible. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's.
No, I'm tempted to just cut that out of spite. So. No, so Patreon picks on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. We can go and support us for as little as $1 per month, should you wish. But there's some higher tiers at which some patrons make me and Connor read things, and they're quite cruel. But one of the things that I was being made to read from one of our patrons was Hawk and Dove from New 52. But that ended. That was only 8 issues. I read issue 8 last month, so this month obviously I had to start something new. So unfortunately, it has been chosen that I will be reading Rick Grayson Nightwing. But Matt, do you know what the really funny part is?
What?
This same patron also makes Connor read Brimstone. However, there's been a change of plans because Connor will also be reading Rick Grayson Nightwing.
I don't know if this is better or worse than Brimstone.
So, I'm upset by this. It's also worth mentioning, I mean, it doesn't have to be for this show, it can also be for Elsewhere on the Multiverse, which is our other comic book podcast that me and Connor do about other books we read from Marvel and Image and Dark Horse and so on and so on. And we should actually be starting a new Patreon pick issue each on next month in March on that show.
I am not happy about it. Pete got a reasonable pick.
Who's the patron that does this?
Which one?
That makes you read Rick Grayson now?
That's Tyler.
Tyler, you're my favorite person.
Yeah.
Just want to let you know. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. So yes, so we'll be reading some Patreon picks on the other one as well, starting next month.
Yeah, on that one, just to give you an idea of maybe why you should check out. P got something good. Yeah, reasonable. Yeah, things that people want to read. I got more Lobdell.
What do you have to read, Connor?
You find out next month.
Find out next month. We'll spoil it just now. But so that's they're both Marvel books though. So that's on the other show, on Elsewhere on the Multiverse. So you can check out that podcast as well. Sorry.
Nothing. I'm just throwing guesses out there that Lobdell wrote at Marvel.
Yeah.
Right. So you can check out Elsewhere on the Multiverse, which is the other show. It's got obviously its own podcast feed. It's on YouTube with everything else. We also do Television from the Multiverse, which is a DC TV shows. Me and Connor do that as well. We talk about the Flash, Supergirl, Arrow, Black Lightning, all that stuff, and we do that every week. So you can check out that too.
Probably worth mentioning. It'll be around this time next week. Maybe it'll be just before or just after this. Doom Patrol is launching the TV show, and we'll be doing a separate review for that first on the YouTube.
Yes, well, it's the same review that'll be in the podcast. It's just going to be up earlier on YouTube
but
as a
I'm letting them know that it'll be there, because otherwise it's another full week for the full podcast.
Yeah, but so you can get that, and that's most of the things I need to plug. Obviously, Mr. Patreon, the monthly episode for patrons that you get the $5 tier. January's is a little bit behind because Grant Morrison's Doom Patrol first volume is 16 damn issues, and it's taken a bit longer than anticipated. But it's coming before the next episode of this. It'll be within the next week.
It is coming.
Yes. So that's good.
And there is a vote up for the next one.
There's a vote up for the next one. Because we're doing a Shazam book in March, we're doing 4 Batman books in the vote this month. You've got until the day before the next episode of this podcast. You've got until Friday to vote on that, patrons, so you can go and vote on that for the next monthly for February's. Doom Patrol's coming out. The nice thing about Doom Patrol taking a bit longer though is that it's actually going to be going up a few days before the show, which is actually really nice timing.
It is.
So I mean, happy accidents and all that, but you can look forward to that. So stuff's coming. But
can I just point something out real quick that Connor brought up about the variant artists?
Yeah.
Because Detective Comic next week gets a beautiful Gary Frank variant, and Superman gets a goddamn Rob Liefeld that looks like it's done on a sketch.
Look at the lower leg. Look at his lower legs, Matt.
No, don't. It's like Medusa. Don't. Anyways,
it's just, that is the level of how DC treats Batman versus how DC treats Superman.
This is like flipping. Oh man.
To be fair, Superman's had some good variants recently. It's not like it's been all crap for a while.
Yeah, but you don't drop a Gary Frank variant for Batman the same week you do a Rob Liefeld Superman. That's just disrespectful.
I'm fairly convinced they don't, coordinate this between the books.
Someone should.
I'm pretty sure they don't. I don't think they actually think, oh, well, we got a variant from that artist on this week, so we'll make sure the same week has this artist. I don't think they do that. I feel like that's more planning than I think anyone's willing to actually do.
I mean, to be fair, they tell us who's doing the variant in the solicits, like months before. So
they do.
They plan to some degree.
Well, no, they plan, but they don't plan for them to match up with other books. I don't think.
Yeah, they should be.
And what benefit would even come from it? What would the purpose be?
You get better covers. You don't have a Liefeld cover.
Why does that eliminate that though? It doesn't. It just means that you're having all bad variants one week and all good variants the next week.
No, you just keep pushing that Liefeld one because you can't put it with this, you can't put it with that, and then you suddenly go.
Well, this has nothing to do with plan. This is just you wanting Liefeld not to get cover work. That's all this is. That's all you're wanting.
Yeah, that would help too.
Oh my god! It's it's like I don't even know. I'm going to say something offensive. I don't want to do it. I'm not doing it. This is Because of the Multiverse, episode 141, I think, and. The only thing I've not plugged as of yet is the merchandise. You can buy merchandise. There's links in the description below to both the US and the UK stores. You can get yourself a nice Comics from the Multiverse hoodie or hat or t-shirt or whatever.
There's a brand new Comics from the Multiverse design.
There is actually. There was a new t-shirt this week. One of our patrons, David, actually designed a new shirt. based on the thing I say at the end of the show, which you'll be hearing in a minute. But you can go check out that new design on the store. It's pretty cool. So yeah, you can go buy some merch if you like. So that supports us. Of course, Patreon supports us. Patreon is the main way you can support us, but you can also support us in other ways by liking, subscribing, rating us on podcast apps, that kind of thing. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics and never get lost in the Speed Force.